So we're really gonna attempt Shakespeare? Shakespeare's actual speech? Are we insane? Doing Shakespeare scares me out of my mind. Attempting Shakespeare will literally drive me crazy.
Why? Because he's been dead a long time? Or because all of his characters talk funny? Or is it because someone told you that all of his plays are like poetry, and you can't possibly imagine how to act out poetry?
Well, yes, and yes.
Shakespeare tells us stories of love, jealousy, anger, war, grief, guilt, and fear. So relax. Performing Shakespeare isn't that much different from acting out the stories we tell today.
But what about his words, the language? What the heck is all of that? Wait, you don't have to answer that. I already know the answer. It's 400-year-old English. How many people do you know that speak 400-year-old English? How am I supposed to even understand any of it?
Think it out like speaking another language, like French or Spanish. Shakespeare's words were almost as foreign to his own audiences. Shakespeare was a genius. He made up his own words that no one had ever heard before, words that we still use today. It's not as difficult as you may think. I bet you understand a lot more than you think. Listen to this.
This one is out to anyone who's watching, but especially my mom. Love Shakespeare. Yeah, we got the out-of-place verbs and the vowels and the arts and the arts. Everything, I don't know where my statements start. Yeah, it's every year, it's every year, it's every year. Shakespeare, Spears. My meter is impeccable and my plays are supreme. I'm supreme, my belly rhyming. You do not know what I mean. The world they fear having to hear Shakespeare. I find my imperfection, I find my thumb in that direction. I laugh at my incomprehension, my rhymes are sicker than indigestion because, wow, who art thou? You say you won't give me all turn that smile upside down. Yeah, you have to my raptors, Shakespeare, turn me the poacher, savers here. Even down the seats of the hand, my first name, William, call me Bill. So fine, newlywed, can I get like Romeo and Juliet? Out of place verbs, in the down, in the art, and the art. Everything, I don't know where my sentence starts, yeah. It's every year. Shakespeare. My meter is impeccable and my plays are supreme. I'm supreme, my belly rhyming, you do not know what I mean. The one they feel having to hear Shakespeare. Word.
Shakespeare was always coming up with amazing ways to entertain the audience. His words became so important that the people who went to go see it were like, we're going to go hear a play, not see one. Can you imagine? Back in Shakespeare's day, there were no sets. The actors always played on a bare stage in the day because there was no lights. They usually wore their own clothing. Sometimes they added a crown, like for a king, and they only used props that they can carry on with them on the stage. Some of the people who went to go see them stood and even talked back to the actors.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Or today we say, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attentions? Welcome to Shakespeare Online. William Shakespeare was an English playwright, poet, and actor, widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. Why Shakespeare?
The great thing about Shakespeare was his ability to write extraordinary storylines and extremely powerful characters. If there is one thing Shakespeare is still very well known for, it is his powerful portrayal of words and the famous quotes we still hear today. Shakespeare's writings are timeless and full of meaning.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. 12th night.
If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? If you wrong us, do we not revenge? The course of true love never did run smooth. From a midsummer's night dream.
If music be the fruit of love, play on. 12th night.
Et tu, Brute.
The course of true love never did run smooth.
It is not enough to speak, but to speak true. A Midsummer Night's Dream. William Shakespeare was born in Stratford upon Avon, England, April 23rd, 1564. Even though Shakespeare is considered one of the greatest playwrights ever, very little is known about his life.
We do know that Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway. William had 3 children, a daughter Susanna and twins, Hamlet and Judith. Shakespeare is believed to have written his first play, Henry VIII, Part 1, around 1590. Eventually, Shakespeare ended up in London, where he began working as a playwright, actor, and a part-time owner of the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Together, let us celebrate some of Shakespeare's most famous monologues, scenes, and passages.
All the world's stage is a phrase that begins a monologue from William Shakespeare's pastoral comedy, As You Like It, spoken by Melancholy Jacques in Act 2, Scene 7, line 138. The speech compares the world to a stage and life to a play, and catalogs of the 7 stages of man's life, sometimes referred as the 7 ages of man. It is one of Shakespeare's most frequently quoted passages.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, but there will be one man in his time that will play many parts. His acts in 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewing and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like a snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover with his woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden quick and quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice in fair round belly, good cap in line, with eye severe, and beard of formal cut, full of wise sighs and modern instances. And so he plays his parts. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved. A world too wide for his shrunk shrink. His manly voice turning again towards childish trouble. Pipes and whistles in his sound. And the last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history, the second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth,
sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
The whole world is a stage, and the people are merely actors. They have their exits and their entrances. There be one man in his lifetime that will play many parts, his life in 7 acts. The first act is the infant crying and puking in the nurse's arms. The second act is the whining schoolboy with his backpack and with his youthful face, creeping like a snail and willing late to school. The third act is the lover, sighing very loud, making sad songs about his lover's eyebrows. And then he's a soldier, full of cuss words, and bearded like a leopard. Jealous and quick to fight if anyone questions his honor. Seeking fame and reputation, even if he has to stand in front of a cannon. And then the judge, with his big fat belly lined with the bribes he's taken, with angry eyes and a trimmed beard, full of wise sayings and everyday examples of his points. And in this way, he plays his part. And then in the 6th act, he turns into a skinny, ridiculous old man with slippers on his feet and glasses on his nose and a muddy pouch on his side. The socks he's saved are too big for his little legs. His big manly voice turning into a child's, squeaking and whistling. The man enters his second childhood and goes brain dead. Without teeth, without eyes, without taste, without everything.
Of the 37 plays that Shakespeare wrote, 14 are comedies, 13 were tragedies, and 10 were histories. Shakespeare was also a great poet. His most famous poem was Venus and Adonis. Shakespeare also wrote poems called sonnets. A book of 154 of Shakespeare's sonnets was published in 1609.
The Taming of the Shrew is about a pesky and nagging wife whose husband finally tames her. The Comedy of Errors is about a pair of twins who look so much alike they cause a lot of trouble. Twelfth Night is also about twins and the fun and trouble they cause. The Merry Wives of Windsor is about a group of ladies from the town of Windsor who make fun of silly old fat men who are always bothering them. As You Like It is about a girl who dresses like a boy and confuses everyone. A Midsummer Night's Dream is a fairy tale about kings, queens, elves, and magic. These are a few of Shakespeare's comedies.
The Taming of the Shrew was one of Shakespeare's most famous comedies. The play describes the volatile courtship between the shrewish Katharina and Petruchio, who is determined to subdue Katharina's legendary temper and win her dowry. Taming has been adapted numerous times for stage, screen, opera, ballet, and musical theater. Petruchio wins a bet for having the most obedient wife, Catherine, until Catherine is an unwilling participant in the relationship. But Petruchio tricks her with various psychological torments, the taming, until she becomes a compliant and the obedient bride. There have been many adaptations, include Cole Porter's Kiss Me Kate, and in the film 10 Things I Hate About You.
No shame but mine. I must forsooth be forced to give my hand against oppose my heart. To mad red sweet full of spleen, who wooed in haste and means a wed at leisure.
I told you, he was a frantic fool, hiding his bitter jets and blunt behavior, and to be noticed by a merry man. He'll wheel 1,000 point the day of marriage, makes friends, invites, and proclaims the banns, but he never means to wed where he hath wooed. So now must the whole world point at poor Catherine and say, Yo, there's mad Petruchio's wife, if it would please him to marry the pathetic thing. The humiliation is all mine. You forced me to accept this man against all my will. That fancy con artist who was in such a hurry to get engaged. He had no intention to marry me. I knew it. I told you. This whole thing was a joke. He pretended to be this simple, backwards guy, but it was all a gag just to amuse his witty friends. He goes around proposing to women. They set a date, he gets introduced around, he writes letters and makes a public announcement, but he never has any intention to go through with all of it. So now when people point at me, they're going to say, oh look, that's the wife of the comedian Petruchio. Oh, if it would bother him to marry the pathetic thing.
A Midsummer's Night Dream is one of Shakespeare's most popular works for the stage, and is widely performed across the world. Young lovers, a troupe of actors, and fairies have romantic encounters in the forest on summer's night. The fairies controlled the characters of the play. Historians believe it was written for a royal wedding.
Call you me fair? That fair I can unsay. Demetrius loves your fair. Oh, happy fair! Your eyes are lodestars, and your tongue sweet air, more tunable than lark to a shepherd's ear. When wheat is green, when hawthorn buds appear, sickness is catching. Oh, were favor so, yours would I catch, fair Hermia, ere I go. My ear should catch your voice, my eye your eye. My tongue should catch your tongue, sweet melody. Were the world mine, Demetrius being baited, the rest I'd give to you, translated. Oh, teach me how you look with art, you sway the motion of Demetrius' heart. Did you call me beautiful? Take it back. Your beauty is what Demetrius loves. Oh, lucky beauty, your eyes are like lodestars, and your sweet voice is more melodic than a lark song to a shepherd in springtime. When the wheat is green and hawthorn buds appear, sickness is contagious. Oh, I wish beauty was also so. I would catch yours, beautiful Hermia, before I left. My ear would be infected by your voice, my eye your eye, and my tongue would catch your tongue's musical voice. If I owned the world, I'd give it all up, except for Demetrius, to be transformed into you. Oh, teach me how you look at Demetrius, and the tricks you use to make him fall in love with you.
Call up your friends, dilly dilly, send them to work. Some to the plow, dilly dilly, some to the fork. Some to the hay, dilly dilly, some to cut corn. While you and I, dilly dilly, keep ourselves warm. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you are king, dilly dilly, I shall be queen. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you are king, dilly dilly, I shall be queen.
Young and handsome prince who avenges the murder of his father. about witches and ghosts and the murder of a king. Julius Caesar is about a great Roman general who was stabbed to death by the people he knew. Romeo and Juliet is about two teenagers who died for love of each other. Antony and Cleopatra is about the famous Egyptian queen who killed herself by letting a poisonous snake bite her. King Lear is about a father of two cruel and ungrateful daughters. These are a few of Shakespeare's tragedies.
Hamlet is considered one of the most powerful and influential works of world literature. It is one of Shakespeare's most popular plays. It is also the most performed. Hamlet is also Shakespeare's longest work, with 30,557 words. Wow, that's a lot of words. Set in Denmark, the play depicts Prince Hamlet in his revenge against his uncle, Claudius, who has murdered Hamlet's father in order to seize his throne and marry Hamlet's mother.
The words "to be or not to be" is one of the most famous quotations in literature. Hamlet contemplates death and suicide due to the unfairness and pain of life. He does acknowledge that the alternative living might be even worse. The opening line is one of the most widely known and quoted lines in modern English and literature, and the soliloquy has been referenced in innumerable words of theater, literature, and music.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to take the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of trouble, and by opposing them, in them, to die, to sleep. No more. And by sleep we mean to end the headache and the thousand natural shocks that the flesh is so heir to, this consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. When we have shuffled off this mortal coil, we must give a pause. Aye, there's the respect that makes calamity of so long life.
Alas, my love, you do me wrong to cast me off, discourage me. And oh, I've loved you oh so long, delighting in your company. Green seas was all my joy, green seas was my delight. Green seas was my heart of gold, and who but my lady green seas? If you intended to be this way, it does more enrapture me. And though I might still remain a lover in captivity, green sleeves was all my joy, green sleeves was my delight, green sleeves was my heart of gold, and who but my lady green sleeves? Green seas, a farewell adieu. God, I pray, will prosper me. And though I am a lover too, once again please love me. Green seas was
Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubbles. Those are said by the three witches in Macbeth.
Antony and Cleopatra is a tragedy by William Shakespeare, written in 1601 and first performed in 1607. The plot follows the relationship between Cleopatra and Mark Antony during the Sicilian revolt of Cleopatra's suicide during the last war of the Roman Republic. Some people consider Cleopatra one of the most complex female characters of Shakespeare's body of art. She is frequently vain and melodramatic.
See, Caesar, oh behold, how pomp is followed, mine will be yours, and should we shift estates, yours will be mine. The ingratitude of this Seleucus does even make me wild. O slave of no more trust than love that's higher! What goest thou back? Thou shalt go back. I warn thee, but I'll catch thine eyes, though they had wings. Slave, soulless villain, dog, oh rarely base.
One that I was a little tiny boy with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain. A foolish thing was but for a toy for the rain. It raineth every day. But when I came to man's estate with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain. Against knaves and thieves men shut their gate for the rain. It raineth every day. But when I came, alas, to wife with the hey-ho, the wind and the rain. By swaggering I could never thrive for the rain, it raineth every day. But when I came unto my bed with the hey-ho, the wind and the rain. With hot spots still had broken heads for the rain, it raineth every day. A great while ago the world begun with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain. But that's all one, our play is done, and I'll strive to please you every day. We cannot talk about Shakespeare's tragedies without talking about Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is the most famous love story and tragedy of all time. It has been adapted numerous times for the stage, film, music, and opera. The most famous musical theater adaptation is West Side Story.
Romeo and Juliet is about two young, star-crossed lovers whose deaths ultimately reconcile their feuding families. It was among Shakespeare's most popular plays during his lifetime, and along with Hamlet, is still one of the most frequently performed plays.
During the English Restoration, it was revived and heavily revised. The 18th century version modified several scenes, removing material then considered indecent. The Georg Benda's operetta even had a happy ending. Today, the play has been adapted into several diverse versions.
O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not be, but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What is Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What is in a name in which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet? So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo doff thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself.
Rose, rose, rose red, will I ever see thee wed? I will love her as I will, I will.
The balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet is the most famous scene from any Shakespeare's plays. Romeo climbs near Juliet's bedroom window. He waits to see if he can catch a glimpse of her. Romeo sees Juliet in the balcony window of her room.
I can't stop thinking of Romeo.
She speaks. Please speak again, my precious boo.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, where are you? For you, I will forget my family and no longer be a Capulet.
I wonder if I should let her know that I'm here.
Juliet continues to talk to herself in her balcony window, not realizing that Romeo is on the fence eavesdropping.
How did you get here? If any of my relatives found out you're here, you're wasted.
I feel you, baby.
Yo, who's there?
If my name is your enemy, then I'm not going to tell you.
Yo, this must be love. I mean, I've only talked to you once, but I recognize your voice. You are Romeo Montague.
That's not my name if you don't want it to be.
How did you get here? If any of my relatives found out you're here, you're wasted.
Oh, I'm good. It's mad dark out here. No one will see me.
Who told you to look for me?
Love did, baby.
Are you saying you love me?
Girl, I swear by the blessed moon with the tips of these sliver treetops.
Don't play with me. Either yes or no. Do you love me?
Girl, I'm getting to that. Now if you would just chill and let me finish my rap.
Juliet! Hey, Juliet!
She's calling me. When can I see you again?
You're just gonna leave me hanging like that? That is messed up.
What am I supposed to do?
Marry me.
I would have married you the first night we met.
Juliet, I know that you can hear me calling you.
Coming, nurse. But are you serious? Romeo, do you really want to marry me?
I wanted more than life itself.
Juliet, what are you doing? Don't make me have to come in there and get you.
I'll holler at you tomorrow.
What time?
By 9.
Okay, see you then. I better go so we don't get busted. Good night.
Juliet leaves her window and Romeo climbs out of the tree. At least 27 operas have been based on Romeo and Juliet. The play influenced many jazz works, including Peggy Lee's Fever.
Romeo loved Juliet. Juliet, she felt the same. When he put his arms around her, he said, "Julie, baby, you're my flame. Thou givest fever."
I sowed the seeds of love, and I sowed them in the springtime. I gathered them up in the morning so soon, while small birds sweetly sang, while small birds sweetly sang. The gardener was standing there, and he said he would choose for me. He chose me the violet, the lily, and the pink, but these I refused all three. But these I refused all three. The violet I did not like, because it fades so soon. The lily and the pink I fettered overthink. I vowed I would stay till June. I vowed I would stay till June. In June there's a red rosy bud, and that's the flower for me. Oftentimes I pluck that red rosy bud till I gain the willow tree, till I gain the willow tree. The willow it will twist, and the willow it will twine, as did that false and deluding young man who once had the heart of mine, who once had the heart of mine. Come all ye maidens fair, a warning take by me, for the grass that was once, it was trampled underfoot. Give it time, it will rise again. Give it time, it will rise again.
Shakespeare is considered one of the few playwrights to have succeeded in writing both comedies and tragedies. Shakespeare is credited for revolutionizing theater.
Although Shakespeare's sonnets were not popular until after his lifetime, Sonnet 116 has become one of the most universally beloved, celebrated poems in the English language. In the magnificent, moving terms, the poem describes true love as enduring, unbounding commitment between two people, a bond that is so powerful that only death itself can reshape it.
Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when alteration finds, nor bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks upon tempest and is never shaken.
It is a star to every wand, ring bark, whose worth is unknown, although his height might be taken.
Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks,
but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ nor no man ever loved.
The weeping willow, sighing like a solitary soul alone. The weeping willow, sighing like a solitary soul alone. The weeping willow, sighing like a solitary soul alone. The weeping willow, sighing like a solitary soul alone. Sighing like a solitary soul alone. The weeping willow, sighing like a solitary soul alone.
Sonnet 116. Mother, let me not to the marriage of two minds.
I don't want to accept that anything can come between two people who absolutely love each other.
Love isn't true love if it changes when things get tough, or if it lets itself be diminished. No, instead, love is a steady guide, like a lighthouse that even during a storm is never shaken.
It is the star that guides the ships as it wanders throughout the sea, its value far too great to be measured. Love is not fooled, though pink lips and cheeks will be diminished in time. Love doesn't change as weeks or hours go by, but continues unchanged until death itself. If I am wrong, and my behavior serves as evidence that I am wrong, then I have never written a poem, and no one has ever loved.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaf hath all too short a date.
Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often in his gold complexion, and from every fear to fear sometimes declines, and by chance of nature's course untrimmed.
But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. Nor shall death brag, thou wanderest in his shade. In eternal lines to time thou growest.
So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
The water is wide, I cannot cross o'er, and neither have my wings to fly. Give me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and I. There is a ship, and she sails the sea. She's loaded deep, as deep can be, but not so deep as the love I'm in. I care not dare, or if I sink or swim, must I go bound while you go free? love a man who won't love me? Must I be born with so little heart to love a man who will break my heart? When cockle shells turn silver bells, then will my love return to me? When roses bloom and winter's gloom, then will my love return to me.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day, modern?
Should I compare thee to a summer's day? You are more lovelier and more mild. In May, rough winds may shake your delicate flower buds, and the duration of summer is always too short.
Sometimes the sun, the eye of heaven, is too hot, and his golden face is often dimmed, and beauty falls away from beautiful people, stripped by chance or nature's changing course.
But your eternal summer will not fade, nor will you lose possession of the beauty you own, nor will death be able to boast that you wander in his shade, when you live in the eternal lines that are set apart from time.
As long as men breathe or have eyes to see, as long as the sonnet lives, it will give life to you.
If music be the food of love, play on is one of the most famous opening sentences in English literature and one of Shakespeare's most quoted lines. He opens his great comic play, Twelfth Night, with it.
If music be the food of love, play on. Give me excess of it, that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. That strain again had a dying fall. It came o'er my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon a banker violet, stealing, giving odor. Enough! No more. Just not so sweet as it was before. O spirit of love, how quick and fresh art thou, that notwithstanding the capacity receiveth at the sea, not enters there of what validity and pitch soe'er, but falls into abatement and low price even in a minute. So full of shakes his fancy that it alone is high fantastical.
Shakespeare retired to his home in Stratford. Shakespeare died in 1616 at the age of 52. Today, William Shakespeare is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the history of the English language. He is also one of the most influential.
Through his works, he is credited with introducing almost 3,000 words to the English language. His works are second most often quoted to the Bible.
Everyday phrases coined by Shakespeare, as good luck would have it.
Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Hamlet.
Break the ice! Taming of the Shrew.
Dead as a doornail.
Eaten me out of house and home.
For goodness sake, Henry VIII.
Good riddance, Julius and Cressida.
Chelsea is a green-eyed monster.
Heart of Gold from Henry V. And Kill with Kindness from Taming of the Shrew.
Laughing Stock. The Merry Wives of Windsor.
Love is Blind, The Merchant of Venice.
One fell swoop, Macbeth.
Pure as the driven snow, Hamlet.
Wear my heart upon my sleeve.
It seems almost unbelievable, but Shakespeare was also well known for his insulting language. Here are some of Shakespeare's most common put-downs.
You're not worth the dust the rude wind blows in your face. More in conversation would infect my brain.
Out of my sight, thou dost infect my eyes. Richard III. You have such a February face, so full of frost, of storm, and cloudiness, for much ado about nothing.
Thou hast no more brains than I have in mine elbows. From Troilus and Cressida. I beat thee, but I should infect my hands. From Timon of Athens.
Shakespeare invented 70,000 of our common words. Caked, carter, champion, fashionable, pictured, flawed, generous, gloomy, gossip, lonely, laughable, luggage, worthless, zinny, swagger Jane. These are only a few.
It is likely that Shakespeare wrote many plays that have been lost. It's certain that he wrote a play called Cardinia, which has been lost. But scholars believe that he wrote 20 plays that have disappeared without a trace.
Few people realize that apart from writing his numerous plays and sonnets, Shakespeare was also an actor who performed in many of his own plays as well as those of other playwrights. There is evidence that he played the Ghost in Hamlet and Adam in As You Like It. During his life, he performed before Queen Elizabeth I and later before James I, who was an enthusiastic patron of his work.
Although his plays were not published until after his death, now they have been translated into every major world language there is today, and are constantly put on by community theaters, high schools, auditoriums, and major performing venues, including hundreds of Shakespeare festivals across the world. There's even a replica of the Globe Theater in Odessa, Texas.
Robin Shakespeare. If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear, and this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend, if you pardon, we will mend, and, as I am an honest puck, if we have unearned luck, now to escape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long. Else, Puck, a liar call, so good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
Oh, parting is such sweet sorrow, that we shall say good night till it be morrow.
On the winter break, and Juliet just taking break. Who's gonna guide him beating on the bush? Let's tell me who cut off, but didn't get pushed. He's out of control, he's running up the ladder. The girl's so cute, and he just got happy. Well, Romeo married the sweet Juliet. I like to think not, cause they're both in the bed. Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Kings are Richard Summer was big, and now is the wonder art. His wife didn't like him. She wanted a horse because he wanted a trade. His kingdom for a horse. But his brother in the castle left him all alone. He's a hunchback, having like give up and down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Your friend Joe owns your countryman. Caesar's hot the Brutus was his friend. He got stabbed in the back. What did he say? How mama tell me if you could take it down. Poor York, I knew him well. When Hamlet the dog, he didn't look so swell. His long lost daddy appeared in the dark, saying something's right here in old Denmark. He said, your mama's the one that turned you into a ghost, cause your uncle's the one she really digs most. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Macbeth and his lady were trying to have a baby out of nowhere. Someone came. They were 3 old witches, real mean, you know, the witches, when they told him he was gonna be king. King Duncan from the hassle, so they killed him in a castle and stuff wasn't going so well. Lady M started walking in her sleep, started talking about the blood that was on her hands. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down. So you play into the classics, the mighty Shakespeare classics. I beg you to think, my friend. Start rapping with the bard, and it won't be that hard that you can be a Shakespeare fan. Chicken, Shakespeare down. Chicken, Shakespeare down.
want to be? That is the question. But
Alas, it cannot be. My lord, who has done this to thee? I simply cannot live if you know who walks this earth. No worries, my love. I shall soon join you, and we shall spend eternity together. Oh, poison, my dear best friend, keep me comfort, if only for a brief moment. I shall drink thee and join my beloved. Oh!
Alas, who has done this to thee, my lady? My lady, who has done this to thee? I simply cannot live if you no longer walk the earth. No worries, my love. I shall soon join you, and we shall spend eternity together. Yeah. Poison, my poison. Oh, poison, my new best friend.